everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you are doing so well. Just getting my stamp wheel out here. Can't have fun without a stamp wheel, right? So you may have guessed we're going to be doing some stamping today, which is very exciting. I'm very excited to. It seems like forever since I've seen you all in a live. So I'm very excited to be back here with you, doing a live. And today we're visiting a dear old friend, as on many road trips you often do. So a crafty adventure to visit a dear old stamp set that I saw at Creativation again and was like, oh, I do love you, dear friend. We have to come back and visit In the Woodland. So it's, I think it was last year. We should have a game. Which year was it? It was 2021. So it's been a while since we've caught up. So let's get the camera focused down and we will have a quick, well, unfortunately, it'll seem quick. I was going to say a quick catch up with our dear old friend In the Woodland. It will go by very, very quickly. Sadly. Hello, everybody. Hello, all my friends. Hello. Oh, it's so good to see you all. All right. So I have my stamp wheel here ready to go. And I have my In the Woodland. Oh, that's the other thing. I always get to this point and I'm like, I forgot something, blending tools, but we have a hot minute before we'll need those. So I've got my In the Woodland outline stamp set. Do you have the die set? Don't know if we're going there today. Let's see. I know it's a sunny and warm from beautiful Maine as well. Now we're in the 60s today, so we're for Maine downright tropical. So, and then the stencil. Very excited to play with the stencil today. So let me see if my light is not cooperating with me. We can adjust it more. All right, and the mailman is delivering my Altenew order right now. So how can it get better than spending time with crafty friends, as well as having some fun Altenew supplies delivered to my door? Okay, so I had something in my stamp platform here. I'm going to just remove. I was going to say, oh, in my mug, but I don't have a mug. I have a stamp wheel. It's been a day. It's been a Monday. We should, I believe, the beautiful Han is behind the badge today. I believe that's who is hanging out with us today. So we're going to get started. I've got my stamp wheel and we'll go ahead. I kind of want to do both of these images today. So we'll see, as you guys know. So my haul is kind of sad, but it's a haul nonetheless. I got the zero waste floral cover die, and I also purchased the red cranes from last month's release. So I'm very excited about it, but it's just a couple items. I'm trying to behave myself. You guys know I try twice a year. And of course, Emery has lent us lots of her fur on our stamps, so we're going well. All right. So I'm going to try to fit both of these. No, we're not. Because if I do want a die cut, I don't want to proverbially shoot myself in the toes today. So let's go wild and let's do a 1-layer card. It's been a hot minute since we've done a 1-layer, correct? Yes, we have Han behind with us. Yay! I'm very excited because I get to work with Han and Angel a lot, so it's always exciting to quote unquote, you guys can imagine my air quotes, to see them. It's nice to have a lovely chat with everybody. So I hope you all have been well. I hope you have been doing well out there in crafty and real worlds. All right, so I know I'm going to stamp off this, but I just wanted to protect the back of my card. Now I can, if I want to, okay, because this can go up here. I just can't go outside of my corners because that's, of course, where the amazing flip plate will sit. But I can go up through here. There's an opening here and an opening here. You can kind of sneak through, so you can do a whole card base, Or you could do a slim line because we love slim lines. All right, so I'm going to get this as lined up as I possibly can. I'm hoping that the level of emery hair is not as bad as I am assuming that it is. I didn't bring in, I have those, you know, those the rolly things for your clothes. I've been using them on here. Let me see if it's right next to me. It is. It is. Okay. So I've been doing this lately, and Emery, of course, because she heard Emery hair, has come over because she wants to say hello to everybody as well. She has missed you all greatly. She didn't get to see a lot of you at the retreat because she was not with me. So I've been doing this to try to get as much fur, and I am as responsible because Emery isn't with me sometimes. Lint roller, yes. You guys are going to have to be my words today. Words are not cooperating with me today. Oh, I know you, between you guys and Hen, I'm all set. I'm all taken care of. You guys have me all set. Okay. I'm just trying to wiggle up because this is going to go a little bit below. Okay. And I just want to have this kind of over in the corner. Now, make sure, I am going to, of course, do this with the outline because we're putting this in. Oh, I'm sitting on the flip plate. So I'm going to get this put in. If you're doing this without the stamp and you're just doing a stencil, make sure if you try doing a stencil with no stamp, make sure you do the whole image. It's going to make it a lot easier for you, okay? So just a tip, if you're doing just stenciling, you would think I had like kitty snacks. Dexy is smelling the inks and Emery is loving on the In the Woodland stamps. Oh, these two are a hoot. They just love to help, especially crafting. Okay, now they've switched positions. They're cracking. I wish you guys could see a little camera behind the scenes as well. All right. So yes, and I'm going to make sure that is stuck down. And then we may throw some clear heat embossing over the top of this, just because if I don't, you know what's going to happen to me. I'm going to smudge. Okay. And I am calling this beautiful because it has no emery fur in it at the moment. So I'm calling that beautiful. All right. And we will move. I've already dumped embossing powder all over my stamp wheel once. It comes off beautifully. I just have to say, if you're like me and have a lot of whoopses, just so you know, it rinses right off. It did take me a little bit because there were a lot of granules, but it rinses off perfectly. All right, so we're going to go ahead. Dexy sneezing. I don't know if I'm supposed to say bless you to a kitty, but bless you, Dexy. Okay, a big sneeze. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat set this just because I'm stenciling. Oh, and I broke my gadget. Okay, that's okay. It's a Monday. It's a Monday. Hello, everyone. Hello. You guys are filling in my words. We're breaking gadgets. Luckily, it's just a command strip that I broke, so we're good. Hello. Hello, everyone. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this set. Now, if you have time, you can either heat set your obsidian. You don't have to use the clear embossing powder. I think it gives it a really beautiful look. I think it gives it a nice classy look. And as well, it heat sets my obsidian so I can ink blend my little heart out and not worry about smudging anything. Because if it can be smudged, we smudge, don't we? We don't mean to. We just get very excited about all the crafting. Okay, so I'm just going to heat set this. We need some beautiful heat setting music, something upbeat. Wow, and I'm shocked. Not one piece of emery fur on there. I guess my little roller did the trick. All right, and I am, because I don't trust myself, going to leave that on there just in case I get overzealous with a blending tool. I know, me overzealous with anything is shocking. I know. Okay, especially when it comes to crafting. All right. I had to bring these out. These are my new obsession. And I even grabbed a yellow because you guys know I always forget the centers of flowers. So now I'm starting to get really worried that I'm going to forget it. So I always grab the yellow so that I have the center. Whether it gets put on the project or not is a question, but I at least have it. So, do you guys have that? Does anybody, sing the song, Having a Heat Wave? Yes, I love that song, Sue. Love that. Grumpy Old Men. Love that movie. One of my favorite movies. Okay, so because this is a simple coloring stencil, which means it doesn't have layers for each of the petals. But because you are layering something together, of course, we have one of the most phenomenal layering guides out there. We do a very beautiful, if there is a layering die, if there's a layering stamp, anything that the word layering enters the picture, we have a guide for it. We also have a video for it generally. So I usually, now we do, I just don't want to have one in the past and have you be like, I thought you said we always had one. We should have one out there. So if not, let me know. I know if it doesn't have Emery for how do people know it's actually from technically Emery. I mean, how would people know? Yeah, that is a good point. I should have kept that in mind. So yeah, it will before we're done. I promise, Sherry, it will. All right. So one of the great things that the stamp wheel is great for, besides stamping, is stenciling. I love it for stenciling. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up, these stencils are pretty easy to line up for this set. Okay, but if it's giving you any trouble at all, make sure to check your layering guide. I always like to show off the layering guide because sometimes I think we get so used to doing stencils that we forget they're there. And there's that day you need it and you forget, you know. Yes, the guides are so phenomenal. All right, so we're going to begin with the beautiful water hyacinth, if I can get it out of the little thing. And I'm going to do my trick the dear Joni has taught me. There's one edge that overhangs, and I can just pop that top right there. And then another great thing that I like about the stamp wheel is it holds my ink cube. So I have my paper, I have my stencil, I have my ink cube. I am ready to go. Like, I am ready to get some crafting done. All right, so I am going to just check my towel because I meant to pull out, I do have a blending set for this, but I forgot to pull it out until right before. So we're going to just pull this one. Now what I'm going to do in the guide, it shows how they're putting 3 different colors on the arrangement, but I'm not going to do it that way. I want to just have one color and add some depth and dimension. And that's the great thing about having these simple coloring stencils is that you can do that. And you can do that a few ways. So you can just come in and you can add some color, or you can come in and you can add more of another color. Okay, so I'm still on water hyacinth here. So I can just add more of that. Or I can step up the game, and here comes Emery. I can step up my game a little bit, and I can bring in, I'm going to put these on the right side. So these colors are on this side there, and I'll move this out of the way so it's not confusing if you're watching later. Okay, and then if I want to, I can also come in and I can add some of the Alpine Aster in here. You can add in these openings, you could add up to 4 colors if you wanted to. You can keep it at 2 as well. If 2 works for you, you can keep it at 1. But I think that's the amazing thing is Altenew gives us the option. And we love options, don't we? We love options. We may not use them all the time. Sometimes I may want to come in and I just want to do a really, really quick ink blending. I can't imagine the circumstance that would happen because I love my ink blending at the moment, but there's got to be a circumstance, you know, I need a card for work or my mom needs a birthday card last minute and I have to go to work and I'm running out the door and I have 15 minutes to make a card. So the great thing is you have the option of making a super, super fast card, okay, or you can go in and you can add some details of your own choosing. And if you're Dexy, maybe play with a toilet paper roll, because, you know, that's what he finds fun. And you don't have to go in with the lightest first. I just like to, because I don't know about you guys, I am heavy-handed. So I feel better if I start with my lightest color first when ink blending, and then add my darker color in there. Oh yeah, yes. That was one of my first things, that when I first opened the stamp wheel, after, you know, I dumped a full container of embossing powder on it, of course, just to test what would happen, of course. Um, I rinsed off beautifully. But after I got done that testing phase, you know, I wanted to really see, like, what else could I do? And because, you know, I live with Emery Casey, who loves round things. Look at this. It doesn't roll. So that means when I come back, I do not have to climb under my table to find my blending tool. So if you as well have pets or children or grandchildren that love things that roll, keep that in mind. Okay, and these are actually leaves. I almost got a little out of control. I know all of you are shocked and almost went there. Oh, thank you. Yes, the embossing powder. Yes, yes. It was my second day I owned it. I was so sad. The sticky pad will stay sticky in theory forever, because, you know, it's like a photopolymer it's basically photopolymer material. So you basically just take it to the sink even after you've dumped embossing powder on it, and you rinse it off and it gets sticky again. You know how our stamps get when they've had, you know, a really great day of stamping, and they're all, you know, our finger oils have got on there and they're not as sticky anymore, and we take them for a bath in the sink and then they're super sticky like the day we opened the stamp. That's exactly what happens with the sticky mat. So it's wonderful because you can bring it right back to its right out of the package stickiness, which I love. Love, love. That's why I didn't want to tell my embarrassing story of the embossing powder, but just to let you know, that I did, and that, those are granules. It did take me a little bit because there were a lot of granules, but I was able to get it off beautifully, and my stick was right back, and I was ready to go. All right. Now, if you're crafting along with me, or you're going to work on this later, keep in mind these two leaves had circles around them, so I had to stop. So I didn't at first. I caught myself at the very last second, and I do not see any circles here. I could also check the layering guide, but I'm living on the edge. All right, and this would be a great set as well. You know, if you have the detail blending tools, this would be a great one as well. But I'm just going to sneak in a little bit of color on some of these leaves here. All right, so the piece de resistance, lift this up and see our first stenciling is done. Now I'm going to come back and do my leaves because I don't want to mix my blues and greens. So this is our first section, okay? So we'll come back and do our leaves in a minute, and then I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second while I adjust my stencil. And this is warped. Keep in mind, this is warped because I heat set it. We are doing a 1-layer card today. Very exciting. All right, so I'm going to bring this in. I have found when I do watercolor on here, I don't get as much warping on my piece because when I'm applying the water, it's stuck down. So I've used it for artist markers. I've used it for watercolor. There's really nothing that I haven't tried, mixed media paste or anything on there, working with it on here. I don't know that I would. I get nervous because I get a little overzealous, as you've seen with sprays and pastes and the like. So I probably wouldn't do that on here, but if you like to and you're careful with it, it does hold your paper beautifully. Okay. But just keep in mind that, this is like a stamp material. So You don't want to put anything that you normally would not put on a stamp. You don't want to put on the sticky mat either, okay? All right, so we're going around and I'm just putting a light dollop. All I can think of is a dollop of daisy, which I don't even eat, but the commercial is very catchy. Okay, so we're just putting a light dollop of the water hyacinth ink as I go around. I'm just blending that on there. Okay, and then I'll come back and add in. And like I said, if I was in my own space and there was no time limit, I might use all 4 of the inks because it really does add so much depth and definition by having those different areas of coloring. Oh, I'm glad you guys liked the blues. I do. I have this card is in mind to go to somebody, and they as well are a blue lover. So I chose these, and I'm just my new obsession lately. I'm still all about the Martian terrain. I promise. I still love my pastel sunrise and all of those guys, but I do love my blues. Love my blues. All right, so we're going to go and just add in, and you can get, you can really pay attention to where petals are covering petals, or you know what, you can just add some color where you think it looks nice. So you can be as serious or as wild and crafty and carefree as you would like to be. I think that's the great thing. And that's the great thing I think about the simple coloring stencils is that you can add just one layer of color, kind of how I showed you in the layering guide. It used 3 different colors on 3 different sections of the flowers, which is great. Or you can come in and you can build up, beautiful color. And there. And again, you could come in with the next one, which is the Crystal Violet. Okay. And I can always add more of this one at a later point if I wanted to. But so you can come in and you can add that really lightly around the edge as well. So see how that changes my color there a little bit. So I can add it to the rest of my piece at another time. But I just wanted to show you, if you want to add 3 colors, if you want to have 2, it's really the only thing that you're limited by is the beautiful project that you imagine. Whatever you see in your head. I always think of Karate Kid when he tells him to close his eyes and then make the tree that's in his imagination. So that's why when I say you're only limited by, the tree that's in your imagination, essentially, that's it. It's your vision, that whatever you envision that looks beautiful to you. And then I'll just do a little bit up top, like a high five. There we go. Okay. So we'll put this one on here, and then I can always go back and I can add it to that first stencil we did, or not. I don't have to, but just so you can see how this is coming. And see, by adding that deep color, it really reinforces the other ones. I guess it's not too much of a stretch to like blue. Yes. Are the sticky pads or the lid? I can't think of the word. So the sticky mat and the flip plate will both be available for purchase separately at some point. I don't know a date of that just yet. So, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right, and then we just have this little bit that we have left here. We'll slide this right into place. And I think one of my favorite things are about stencils, and I always talk about this when I stencil, so you're probably like, I know what she's going to say. I like puzzles, and it's fun for me to put them into position and get them all lined up. I really like that. Okay, I haven't wiped off my brush, but it's okay because it's just going to blend out, and I can add some more of the Crystal Violet in there as well if I wanted to. So I have my water hyacinth. We'll go and we will just put this in here. And again, if I get it a little darker in areas, it's okay, because remember, we're building that color as we go. this petal over here, and I got to be careful because that's separate. I saw my big line on the stencil means stop. And then I always think hammer time because I'm a child of the 90s. Oh, goodness. All right. And then I got to do my Joni trick where you just pop the top right off there. Comes off perfectly. But that's what I love too, is it's not even in a corner, and it holds my little ink cube, so I can blend my heart out to get my perfect blend. Okay, and that one I want dark because it's smaller. I think this would be beautiful, and I've thought this. I probably should have done this today, but I always forget until I'm like mid ink blend. This would have been gorgeous doing it as a rainbow. I almost think somebody, when this was released, did a rainbow, but I just thought it would be so pretty to have each one of these be a separate, I'll put that there so you can see, be a separate like rainbow color, a rainbow arrangement. That would be so pretty. All right, and then I'm just lightly going to kind of dab at those and then come back here. And I had some dark in there. Okay, and then if it's too light, you can also go lightly over it when your blending tool has most of the color off there. And that will give you some darkness as well. But I like having some of those really quote unquote white or lighter areas as well. Yes, stop in the name of love. That is another good one. And yes, you never know when extras are going to come in extra handy. We love the puns. We love the puns, Rosie. Extra handy. Okay. So now we can go back and we can peel up our satin masking tape. Because remember, we stopped in the name of love. And, or we stopped because it was hammer time. All right. And now we're going to come back and put those in place. I just keep seeing blue ink and I'm panicking because I know it's on top, but I just want to give it a good wipe down to make sure we really are okay. So here you can see the circles I was talking about earlier. Luckily I saw those circles because I was supposed to stop. I was not supposed to keep going. So luckily I saw those. And then I'm continuing with the trailblazing. We're going to head over to the gorgeous Silver Sage. Okay. And then I will wipe off my poor green brush. Hi, Roxy. How are you? Welcome, everybody. Okay, and then I'm just going to do these, and you can do the same thing. So you can keep it, oh, and I moved this before I put it down. It just peels up so beautifully. And then I just adjust to where I want it. I was too busy looking at something there. All right, there we go. Oh, and I think that's one too. No, right there is. Haha. So we will get all the ones we can get. So again, you can come in, just be careful up here. You can come in and you can add do the same thing with your greens. Okay, just make sure to mask off your blues before you bring in your greens. Okay. And yes, we are now into the frosted foliage, and we will go, these are going to be our centers. So on here as well, as you go, don't forget, it tells you what section it is, and the colors all match over in the guide wherever you are. Okay. So number 2 and 3 is going to be our center, and that's on this one, because this doesn't have, they look like spikes to me. Little spiky. I call them spiky. All right, and I think we're going to go, because I went through all the, working my brain so hard to pull out the yellows, I think we're going to go with yellows. Although, we really could stick with the same family, and we could stay with the beautiful browns. I think the browns would look gorgeous with that as well. All right, so here we go. So we're going to do our yellows, okay? And you can do the same thing for the yellows where I have my maple yellow, but I can come in, okay? And I can come in with my honey drizzle here, and I can add some honey drizzle just at the base, just to show, give a little bit more definition. So you can really, really use a simple coloring stencil to really zhuzh and make lots of color on there. Just because you only have one layer doesn't mean that's all you can use. You can use as many as you would like. All right, and then we have a really tough decision. This is a real big toughie because we just used the yellow because I, didn't forget it this time. Yay. And we used the yellow. So the other one used a really pretty green. Maybe we should use the silver sage. This looks like an upside down tree to me here. Our little upside down tree is our next one. So I'm going to put that over here. And if you feel like a stencil's getting stuck, just check your edges because, of course, it has edges. So sometimes they do get a little stuck on there. So let's take our silver sage, and I'm just going to put that in there really lightly as the flower center. Again, you're only limited by whatever color it feels good to you at the moment. All right, now we're going to keep on dancing our way through here. Luckily, you cannot see me dancing in the background. Oh, so that's, I guess, the good thing is although you can't see, Emery and Dexy helping out as best they can, you also do not have to see me awkwardly dancing as I craft away. Do you guys awkwardly dance as you're crafting? Or do you dance beautifully? You could dance. I awkwardly dance. I'm sure you guys all dance beautifully, but I awkwardly dance when I'm crafting. Do you guys dance when you're crafting as well? Okay. I know we have some that sing, but listening to podcasts. Okay, so we're going to add this in here again. Okay. And then again, normally under flowers, that's where I like to add a good amount of color to really show the definition and the depth. But wherever you feel that it looks best, and if you ever get stuck, take a look at what the graphic designers have done because they had a vision. Remember we were talking about our bonsai tree? You close your eyes and you see your vision of your bonsai tree you're going to trim. That's the same thing. They have a vision when they design the stamp set. Now, of course, if you get it home and have a different vision, we love to see it. That's the fun of crafting. But it's also nice if you don't know kind of where your vision is going. It's wonderful to have that to rely on, is that somebody else has shared their vision with you, and it was the vision of when they designed it. So that's very, very cool. It's like having our own graphic designers in your craft space with you all the time. How cool is that? They would be very busy flying to many parts of the world. But that's the great thing about having all this inspiration and all these projects that they do and the other designers do. Okay. So I'm just adding some of the beautiful, which one am I on? I am on Jade. And I'm just kind of adding some at the center where it would be darker, I feel. And you could come in with a third color if you wanted to, but I want to make sure we get a card made. So I'm going to stop at 2. But you can see there, looking at the flower and looking at the leaves, you can see that you get a little bit more depth and dimension because we did use 3 colors on our floral and our leaves only have 2, but that's okay. And you can come in and quickly add it. I think it will go pretty quickly. And talk or yell for supplies. I've done that before. The only thing is I only have people with no thumbs or no opposable thumbs to come help me. Okay, and I didn't stamp or stencil off my card, so that's great news. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm slowly going to pull back the satin masking tape on itself. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, and because we talked about I briefly touched on that if you're going to stencil this without stamping, that you want to make sure to do the whole image if it's your first time, using this particular stencil. I also highly recommend, if you want a no line look, feel free to embrace limestone, because it's a really pale gray. So it looks like you have no line, but you at least have things to go by. So here is our first card. Thank you so much. You guys are so amazing. So amazing. All right. We will wait. I'm going to wait because I'll stamp a sentiment after I stuck it down. We will wait because I want to see if we got like 24 minutes. Let's see if we can squeeze in another card. Oh, Miriam, hello. Yes, the blues, the blues, the blues, the blues, the blues, the blues. Have I mentioned the blues? Okay. I'm actually head to toe in blue. I'm that girl you see at the grocery store that's generally in one color, all gray or all blue. So I don't have like a pop of color. I'm just like all gray or all blue. Just that way I know I always match. Okay, and we had already pulled this one off. See, now this stamp needs a bath. He's kind of sticky, but kind of not. So he's going to go out and he's going to have a luxurious spa day at the end of our session today. All right, but just in case, I'm going to go ahead and attempt my best attempt at not having any fur, human or feline, on my stamp. Because I had where, Emery wasn't with me. I was at Pam's actually in Arizona, and there was still a piece of hair on my stamp. So I can't say that was Emery really. Now, if you want to make sure it lines up easily for you, you want to mimic, okay, what is in the layering guide for the placement. Okay, so when you go to put your stamp down, you want to make sure, and I can see that petal up right there, you want to make sure that you're close to that arrangement. Okay, so we did that one. Oh, let's have it. This one, Lydia does this a lot, and I think it's just absolutely stunning. So let's do that. We will come from the base up. So now I've got to keep in mind, because in the guide, it's like this. I could go, oh gosh, I never do this. Okay, that's it. Executive decision. I never do this. I never go on the right side. I always go on the left side. Always. We're going wild today, you guys. We are going wild. But we always do when we craft together, don't we? We just have fun. Yes. Oh, yes. This has been working pretty well, Miriam. This has been working because I do too. And it's always after you stamp on like the last piece of cardstock that's cut and you're kind of in a hurry. And yeah, that's at least when I find mine. And I've checked the stamp, like I've given it the old, I want to say eagle eye, but obviously not, because I miss it all the time. So I want to think that I've given it the old eagle eye, and no, not really. All right. And then again, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm quickly going to heat set this with my clear, and I learned my lesson. I'm going to move that right out of the way. And then I'll have this all over my little fingers because I broke my little clip, but it's okay. They just go in. They're little stickers, and they hold the little spoon in place. I'm sure many of you have the little, I think they're command hooks for lights, I think. Okay, so we'll get this going. And while that's going, we'll just give this a quick old zip zap there. Get that in place. And then we have our other stencils that will go with that set. So we're going to work with 4 and 5 on this. And I cannot believe I might have 2 cards made at the end of this, because usually I just do card panels. So usually I don't have full cards made because it's just a panel, but this is a 1-layer magical card, so I will have 2 made. I think this is beautiful as well if you just put like a sentiment up here as well. I think there's something very classic and very beautiful about a black and white card. So you don't have to always add color. I mean, we love to add color because color's just, it jazzes it up and it's fun. But you don't always have to. So keep that in mind as well. All right. So I'm just looking. See, I got my guide right here. I'm all good to go. And I'm just going to get this lined up. I just have to keep in mind that mine shifted a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put mine into position. Those would be the red lines. And the 3 up here should help me a little bit. See, this is the only downside if you turn it. There we go. Is that you just have to find your orientation. If you turn it and change from the layering guide, and if you only do a partial stamping, okay? So I think this time what we're gonna do, we're gonna continue. Everybody seems to like the blue pretty good. So we're gonna continue with our blues, except we're gonna do blue leaves, and we're going to do brown flowers. We're going to go outside of the box. So I'm going to add, apparently I'm going to add a darker color definitely because I came in a little hot with the blending tool. I thought I wiped it off enough, but that's okay. You can always add darker ink. If you come in really hot or heavy, I should say, with a blending tool, you can always add a darker color to add more dimension to your image. And then it just looks like you were adding dimension. Nobody knows that you did not mean to add that amount of ink to it. So we'll just, and you could skip, you could go right to Crystal Violet. So if you want to skip over Alpine Aster, I can't imagine why because it's stunning. But let's say you're trying to make 2 cards in an hour and you want to move quickly, you can skip over ink colors and you can just come on and you can add the beautiful Crystal Violets there. All right, and this one would be darker because it's in between those flowers, and I'm a little off on this one, but that's okay. We're going with it. We're going with it. Worst case scenario, if you're more off than you intended to be, you can always put a sentiment right there, or in a really big pinch, some splatter. Always looks gorgeous. All right, so there is our first layer. Oh, good. I'm glad you're not driving. That made me a little, when I read driving, I was like, oh, goodness. Safety first, safety first. Okay. All right. And then I was upside down last time, I believe. So let me just see if I am. All right. I was upside down last time. So that was supposed to be there. So I think I'm good in here. Yes, I am. Woot woot, as my mother would say. She says that a lot, actually. My mother's just downright adorable. And she sometimes joins us on the lives. Okay, so now we're going to go with, because I've already added some dimension in there, I'm going to go with Indigo Skies for this one. And I'm just going to really put it on there. And even if you're using the Indigo Skies as a full color, you can go back round and you can add it as a highlight too. You just add more. It's like when you want to double, triple, quadruple stamp a color to change the color, say like maple yellow. I've quadruple stamped that before and it's so beautiful just to build up the layers. You can go back in and you can add, okay, some in here as well. So that's what I'm kind of doing in some areas. Just going and adding that extra little touch in there. Some extra of the Indigo Skies. Okay. So we've gotten that. Ta-da! Okay, so we have that. We're done with our leaves. That stencil is out of here. Okay, now we got baseball going on. Now we're going to move over to our beautiful peachy browns, and we are going to get this put into position. Now, the great thing about this is there are some areas that cover a good portion of the flower, but may not necessarily cover the whole flower. And I love when we have flowers that really, really let some of the white speak. And I say that because I love that look, but I have a difficult time sometimes allowing the white space to breathe. So I think it's great that we do have some sets that the white space is already kind of figured in for us already. Okay. So I'm just making sure all of my sections are aligned, and then I just stick it down. And then we will come in with pink sand as our flowers. Yes, bling. Bling is always, always good to have bling. Absolutely. All right. And then I'm going to start in the center and then blend it out. Okay, so that if I do get extra, it's coming from where the flower would be darker. If I start from this way, I start way off where I'm trying to get into. And that way I don't have huge bumps of color on the way. Okay, and then I'll do the same. I have some nice big area of stencil material that I can kind of blend on. And this will get on my sticky mat. That's okay. It rinses right off. Comes off beautifully with just a little warm water and rubbing my hand over it. Okay, there we go. So I think we'll get we may not get our sentiments on, but we'll get ink blended. Which sometimes, I think it's becoming kind of a thing now, where a lot of times we don't put sentiments on because we don't know kind of where we're going with it at the moment. And I know there are more out there that have said, oh yes, I've gotten caught before where I wanted the card to say this and I needed it for this occasion, but instead I had already put on a happy birthday and I wanted it for, you know, a thinking of you card because they are just having a really bad day, but it already says happy birthday. So I think a lot of us are now waiting until we know for definite where the card is going before we put anything on. Oh, I got to do my trick, my Joni trick. There's my corner. Oh, hold on. There's my corner. There's my corner. I know it's there. Oh my goodness. Ah, there we go. All right. It's still the Joni trick. I just had to find the corner. And again, I'm going to start in the second, in the center and blend out. And I skipped over the Dusty Rose and I went right for the Toasted Mauve because I want to have that color differentiation because my leaves are so bold and beautiful. I wanted to have the same thing with my flower as well. Okay. And again, I'm not worried about getting my sticky matte inky. Say that 5 times fast. I'm not worried about that. Okay, and again, you can do the same thing where you go in and we added extra layers of dimension. You can do that as well here, but I just want to finish the card before we end today. So that's why I'm not doing that at this point, but please use that same, that same kind of technique and tip that we were using. Do the same thing for that as well. All right, and then 2 of these line up, which I believe are over here. It's been a hot minute since I used this set, but I believe, oh, look at that. I love sets that you can be away from for a very long time and they line up effortlessly. We have a lot of sets that are like that. Okay, and I'm going to go really light because I'm going to do this in yellow, but I want a light center. That one I was a little off on, but that's okay. Okay, so I've got that. And you can always go back and add more, but I like to, the first time my first go around here, I like to go in at a lighter color. I'm just looking for my outliers so that I can kind of align those up as best I can. And I always remember I used to panic about lining these up absolutely perfectly every single time. And Lydia was like, but they don't know where it was supposed to be. So as long as you're in the right neighborhood, it's okay. So after that, I was a pretty happy camper and just kind of went with the general idea and was good to go. And then this one goes with this set over here. And again, I'm just trying to get in the general area. So I just want some color in there, and you could always come back and make it darker if you wanted to. Just trying to, at this point, I want to be able to finish these with you. Okay. And again, flower centers, I remembered to do them. I'm so proud. And I probably will come in and add a little bit more definition. And that I can accomplish by using my honey drizzle in there. But so that will be, oh, we still have 8 minutes. We got plenty of time to do our sentiments. Yay. Okay. Yay, yay. So there, but I love the look that you get with this set because you have that built-in white space. And so even if I forget that it's supposed to be there, the designer's already remembered for me, which is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So we will pop these back in their holsters here for next time. Really quick so that I have room. And I also save these little ones that come with the cubes because it's nice to see them in order. They do generally go back in order in there. Generally. You guys know. You're in a hurry. Throw the stamp in. You know. You guys know. I don't have to explain all these wonderful things that we do to save time because you guys know. You guys know. All right. So let's do wishing you a beautiful day. Okay. And so if you want to, you can, line it over in the corner so you know that you're in line. And, oh, I see a fur. I see fur. I see fur. Yes, there is some white space left in there as well, which I think is great because it breaks it up. It doesn't all have to have color in it, which I think is wonderful. And if you feel nervous about this at this point, please feel free to, leave it. Don't feel like you have to put a sentiment on now. I just have a lined transparency that I'm going to use in here. And I'm going to say that's straight. I could be wrong, but that's okay. Because you can always stamp one and then redo it. So I always like to put my flip plate down in there, nice and snug and bug in a rug. Okay. And then I'm going to move my layering guide because I almost put it in my obsidian. And then this is a folded card, so you may want to tape the inside down because I don't want to mess up my greeting. Hopefully I just need a 1. I've stamped with this before. Okay. So there we go. We have our first project there. And then I'll show you what I meant on this one. Because we heat embossed on these, okay, and they're 1 layer. Oh, just in time for Emery to come visit. Just because we heat embossed with these and they are 1 layer, okay, you may want to have it where you tape down your top because see it's moving. So I want that to stay down while I'm stamping. I don't want it to pop up and hit my sentiment. I don't want that to happen. Oh, Emery is coming to approve of our projects here. I believe she approves. She looks pretty happy for, a kitty that usually is growling. She looks pretty happy. All right, and I just want to make sure I don't stick ink on my card at this point. You guys know that moment of panic, and she's here to help and stick her toes in obsidian because that's super helpful. All right, down on the floor, little girl. Okay. Now we'll go ahead Okay, and I think this is one of those sentiments that you can feel safe in stamping because we wish people a beautiful day, even if it's just, an average day for them. We want everybody to have a beautiful day. And that's the great thing about making these beautiful florals. And see, my card base popped up again. So I just want to make sure before I go to stamp that my base is down. That's another reason I like to make panels, is that they're always flat. They're not going to surprise me at the most inopportune moment. As I'm going in with obsidian ink, it's not going to pop up at me and go, surprise! So that's the other reason I like to make panels. The other, beyond that, is if I smoosh it like I did here, I think it'll be okay. But if I smoosh it like that, I can just, make it work. But I think it'll be okay. I think we're good. The other great thing is when you are done with your stamp wheel, you can just tuck your flip plate right in the top. Until you push that down, that's not going to hit your, if you don't push it down, I didn't push mine down, until you push on the sentiment, that's not going to hit your photopolymer, okay? So just another great invention or part of the amazing invention. I know my life has changed dramatically since this tool has come out. And I just have to show it off a little bit because I never make full cards. So I'm so proud and so excited to show you. I made full cards. I usually just make panels. So it is exciting to make a full on card. All right. So here we have the 2 cards that we made today. And definitely try having some brown florals. Try having some, you don't have to have green leaves. You can go with different color combos that work. Try that up. And if you make this with rainbow, I would love to see it. I have been dying to do this stamp set as like each one of these flowers is a different color of the rainbow. I would love to see it. I'm glad you guys like the cards. Thank you so much. I hope you guys will try some different colored leaves out there this week. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Han. Thank you, everybody. I wish I could send you all a card. I guess this kind of does. I've heard both sides. Cece, I have used the stamps with red rubber. I have used those in the stamp wheel and I have not had a problem with them. So I can speak to my experience, but I haven't had a problem doing that. Thank you so much. And thank you all of you for coming by and sharing a crafty session. I know it really hasn't been that long since I've seen you guys, but it seems like forever since we've crafted together. So it was very exciting to pull in a near and dear friend, 2021. So it was a little older than I thought. I thought it was last year, but to visit, an old relative you hadn't seen in a while. And it's a lot of fun to dust off those old alt new sets and bring them back and give them some beautiful color and ink and life. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. From all of us at Alt New, thank you so much. Sorry, got the fur coming. Thank you so much for allowing us to help you craft your life. Until next time, happy crafting, my friends. Bye.